Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit, and let's go to the Hercules Tire Hotline. Joining us, I believe, from Nashville or Tennessee at this point, headed to California this weekend for the last call for Paul race. Paul McMahon joins us. Hello, Paul. How are you?
I'm good, doing good, guys. How y'all doing?
We are doing well. We're early week here, but just kind of your thoughts now as you near the final time climbing aboard a sprint car this Saturday night at Placerville.
It's full of mixed emotions. I'm not ready to quit, but my body's telling me I need to quit. So I've been planning this trip to California to Placerville Speedway. It's where I started my career, and it's always where I wanted to end my career. So fortunate enough that I was able to go do it. And this weekend, my family, all my family's gonna be there. All my friends, I got friends from Illinois and Nebraska and different parts of the country flying out to watch me race. So it's gonna be a very special weekend.
Paul, 30 plus years as a career in the industry. How can you kind of sum it up? Obviously, you lived on the road, you've lived at home, you've watched your wife battle cancer, you've watched your kids grow up in the sport. I mean, an awesome career at that. Is there any way that you can kind of sum all that up for yourself?
Not really. I mean, it's the only thing I can always just sum it up is it's been a heck of a ride. It's been a dream of mine since I was an 8-year-old kid watching my first World Outlaw race at the West Capitol Raceway Park in Sacramento, and it's something I always wanted to do. And to be able to fulfill my dream and have a fairly successful career racing a sprint car at that level, it's been awesome. And the cool thing is I've always done it my way. I probably quit rides when I shouldn't have, but I wasn't going to change myself, the person I am, to appease a car owner or a mechanic. So that's one thing I'm pretty proud of is might not have been the most successful, but I did it my way.
Paul, you're going out there and you're getting a chance to drive the 3C car, the car that Clyde Lamar fielded for so many years and gave you your start. What does that mean to you to be able to nod the cap to Clyde Lamar and his legacy out there as a team owner?
Oh, it means the world to me. When I went out, and I guess it was 1st of June, and got to drive the Tri-C car at Silver Dollar Speedway for King of the West race, and it was a celebration of life for Clyde Lamar, and his son Herman offered me the ride to come out and do that. And then when the night was over, he said he wanted to do it one more time. And so when this came available, or when this popped in my head, like, I just, after talking to my doctors, my wife, and everything else, and the headaches I get from after races, that I want to drive the Tri-C car at my final race. And fortunate enough, we were able to put that together, and it's going to be a very special night for me.
Okay, you mentioned it, Paul. We know that you've had a significant concussion. What was that, 2 years ago now?
Right.
You were in a pretty bad wreck. Obviously, you're still seeing the symptoms. What is it like? What are you going through? What do you go through after you race? Kind of give our viewers a little insight of what you're dealing with.
I'm like my everyday life. I feel fine. There's things that aggravate me, or loud noises aggravate me, and stuff like that. And when I got in the race car, the few times I did this year, the headaches afterwards were ungodly. I mean, there's things I just couldn't bear with, and they would last up to 2-3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks, depending on how rough the racetrack was or how things went. And then I haven't raced in a while, and I went out to Knoxville here last week, and just happened to be down in turn 3 and 4 when they lit off the fireworks, and it brought everything back. It got me lightheaded. It got me, where I got an instant headache, and it's unfortunate that like I said, I'm not ready to quit, but my body says I'm ready. It's time to quit.
Yeah, and concussions are such a weird thing, because a concussion for you, and as a race car driver, you've had multiple concussions, but this particular one has these symptoms. A concussion for somebody else, some guys can get knocked around and never have any ill impact. You're getting treatment and care for this, and is it just a matter of time's going to have to play out for this to go away?
Yeah, my doctors just say it's going to be, everybody's different, and it's just how my body's going to heal. And doctors, they don't understand racing very well. So they asked me how many concussions they think I had. Is this my first one? And I kind of laughed at them and said, no, it's probably about my 25th one. So, I had great care at Vanderbilt University that taking good care of me. Um, they just said it's just going to take time, and hopefully, it does go completely away. I still have a little short-term memory loss and can't remember things, and I stutter a lot now. That drives me absolutely crazy. But it's just part of the process, I guess, of healing.
Paul, before we went live here, you were talking a little bit about it, and you made the statement that I never even considered. 15, 20 years ago, before we really knew what concussions were and what they led to, as a racer, they happened a lot, right? You get upside down, you probably ended up with a concussion, but you still had to race the next night or later that night or whatever it may be. That being said, like you said, 25, 30 concussions at this point. But throughout your career, were there numerous times that you jumped back in a car because that was your living and that's what you had to do, and maybe you weren't 100%?
Oh, definitely. I remember one night we were up in Skagit, Washington, and I flipped, and my head hit the racetrack and knocked me out for a split second or whatever. And we had to come back and race at Elma on Monday, and Elma was really rough, and I don't remember a whole lot about even racing it. And the things I do remember is I could not see, like everything was like double vision. I couldn't see clearly, I guess you'd say. I mean, but it's what we did. It's we raced with your eyeballs bloodshot because it broke all the blood vessels in your eyeballs, and you broke broken bones. We didn't have sick days, so we had to do, or I had to do whatever I had to do to put food on the table and make sure my family was taken care of.
Paul, you mentioned Vanderbilt University, Nashville. I was sitting here, I was making some notes, jotting some things down. You're from Elk Grove, California. That makes sense, sprint car country. There's sprint car territory all over the world. How in the world did you end up in Nashville, Tennessee?
Well, we just had some friends from my wife's best friend. Husband is in the music business, and we came and visited a lot, and just we loved it here. We lived in Indiana for a little bit, and my wife was always alone. So I brought her to somewhere where she had friends and family that would take care of her when I was gone. And it worked out good because her best friend's husband was out on the road with the music all the time. So them two were able to be together all the time. And then we had kids the same age, and they all went to school together. And it just became part of our family, or we became family to them because their whole family was here. And I had to travel no matter where I lived. So we just stopped in Nashville and stayed here.
And now the beauty of it is you still get to work in racing. You still get to stay there with your job at Quick Car. How did that all come about? Obviously, it fell into your lap, and an awesome opportunity that you didn't have to pick up and move your life somewhere else.
Yeah, it just happened when I stepped back from being on the Outlaw Tour in 17. I became team manager for Destiny Motorsports, and I was doing the paperwork, my bills and stuff to send back to the office, and I saw we had something drop shipped from Quick Car in Lebanon, Tennessee, and I hadn't, I've lived here for probably 15, almost 20 years at the time. I had no clue where Lebanon, Tennessee was because I literally came home, left, and went racing. And so I Googled it and found out it was 20 miles from home, and talked to another friend of mine that was part of Quick Car, and asked if they'd work with my part-time racing schedule that I still wanted to do, and they did, fortunately. And it's a great thing because now with my racing ending, I can still be a part of the sport I love, and get to see a lot of different other types of racing now. And I'm very interested in all sorts of motorsports. So here at Quick Car, we do such a variety of different types of cars that I get to go to all sorts of different races and check them out.
Yeah, you and I chatted about that at PRI or somewhere where you talked about you went and saw Legends cars for the first time ever. You went to New Smyrna. When everyone goes to Volusia during Speed Week in Daytona, you went to New Smyrna. And that has to be neat for you as a sprint car racer to see the various forms. Maybe you've read about them, maybe you've seen them, maybe you haven't. It's got to be neat to see how things apply across the board and how things are different as well.
Oh, most definitely. Going to New Smyrna and seeing the modified, I don't even know what they're actually called, but they're the not late model modifieds. They're like an Oswego car, I guess it is.
Yeah,
It's, and they race at Stafford and stuff
the
like
big
that.
block modified,
Damn it.
yeah, the tour
And I
modifieds. Yeah, yeah.
fell in love with them things. Just fell in love with them. So I'm trying to we're trying to get a trip to Stafford Speedway here soon to go there, and because them cars have a lot of gauges in them, and we're in the business of gauges. So we need to get up in that part of that part of the country, and see if we can sell some gauges to them guys.
Paul, an incredible career. Is there one moment that kind of solidifies your career? Maybe one race that meant the most to you, or some situation that you dealt with in your career that really stands out to you?
I mean, there's so many things from your first win, but my first win as an outlaw, kind of solidified it to me that I was part of the outlaw group. But the biggest and most special race for me was when I won the Brad Doty Classic. Brad being my hero, to win that race in honor of him was very, very special. And that night, all my family were there. My mom and dad, my wife, both my kids were there. And that didn't happen very often where everybody was at a race that I won. So that was probably the most memorable and most special race.
You mentioned family, Paul. Your family been very, very open, whether it's the struggles. Ashley mentioned it with Jan and her battle with cancer that she had a few years ago, and fortunately we're hopefully as we deal with that beyond that. But then Braden and all of his shenanigans, Kylie and all of her stuff. It's like your family has been the sprint car family and your family have become so intertwined. It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough that my kids got to go to work with me every day, and they grew up in this sport, and they got such a wide variety of friends from different parts of the country. I mean, all over the United States, they got friends. And then this Twitter thing came available, and Braden, he embraced it, and he got so many more famous or more followers than ever expected. But I couldn't be more proud of my kids. Kylie Dunn graduated from college last year. She's working at school with Jan as a liaison for the kids that someone come to for her. Was a psychology major, so to help the kids out. Braden's finishing up his college. She should graduate in December. He's engaged, going to get married next year, and then you got Jan. I mean, what can I say about her? She's my rock, my biggest fan, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been able to do this for as long as I did. So, they gave up a lot of their own time so I can live a dream, and it's very special to me.
Paul, finally, as we look at Saturday night, did I read this right? Your brother Bobby is saying farewell also. Is this a 2-for-1 special out there at Placerville?
I guess. I thought he did his last race last year, but I guess he's gonna piggyback onto my little celebration here. So yeah, it's gonna be a good night. Bobby's gonna, I guess, call his last race Saturday, and I'm gonna do mine, and we're just gonna enjoy our weekend, and hope everybody. If you can't watch, turn into Flow. We can watch it there.
No doubt. We are all going to enjoy. We really, truly are. We've enjoyed so much as far as that goes. Paul, we appreciate your time joining us here today on Wing Nation. We appreciate the conversations over the years. The good news is the conversations will continue. This is not goodbye. This is thanks for being a great driver, and we look forward to catching up with you down the road. But thanks for joining us here on Wing Nation.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate all you guys do for our sport, and look forward to seeing you at the racetrack soon.
There we go. That's Paul McMahon joining us here on the Hercules Tires Hotline. Stay with us. More Wing Nation in just a moment.